All right. Well, it's 6:01, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Be mindful of everyone's evenings. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. My name is Ellie Cortez. I'm an admissions coordinator for the MSSW program, the Masters of Science in Social Work, at the Kent School of Social Work and Family Science. Thanks for spending a little bit of your evening with us tonight. We're going to talk about our program for you. So our admissions team at the Kent School here includes myself and my program manager, Valerie Miller, who is with us tonight. She's going to be helping me out monitoring the chat throughout the evening. And then we also have Lakeisha Ellery, who is my fellow admissions coordinator. She helps students whose last names begin A through L, and I help students whose last names begin M through Z. So if you have reached out about the program at all yet, you have probably spoken or communicated with one of us. So that makes up our admissions team. And then tonight we also have with us one of our practicum coordinators, Holly Eckert. And she's going to talk to you guys a little bit about practicum education and what is involved in all that. And yeah, without further ado, we'll get started. So what will we talk about this evening? This is our session agenda. Tonight, we're going to start off by talking a little bit about social work. What is social work? Just a brief introduction to the field for those of us who may be new. And then we're going to talk about our MSSW program. And then I'll hand it over to Holly to speak a little bit about practicum education. And then I'll talk about some of our campus resources that are great for our students who attend U of L. And then we'll talk about how to apply to the program, practicum deadlines, application deadlines. We'll speak a little bit about tuition prices and financial aid. And then we will, of course, have time for questions at the end. So don't worry about that. Definitely feel free to put your questions in the chat throughout, or, raise your hand if you want. We'll have plenty of time. So that's our session for tonight. So we'll get started. So what is social work? Social work is the profession that restores or promotes the relationship between people and their environment to improve their quality of life. So social workers work to improve social problems that have been created in our society over time. They help people address barriers that have been created for them because of social ills. You can work with individuals, families, small groups, communities, organizations. So there's so many different ways that you can practice social work. But the overall arching goal is to improve societal conditions for people and advocate for those who, more specifically, those who belong to marginalized communities. We're trying to increase their quality of life and improve social conditions. So that's social work in a nutshell. So talking about, like, when you think of social work, thinking of career pathways, specific career pathways, because the field is so diverse, I like to think about social work careers on the three different levels to social work, which are the micro level, which is more working one-on-one with individuals or with families. That's more of like a caseworker or a therapist. You could be a therapist with an MSSW degree. And then there's the meso level to social work, which is more community level. It is grassroots organizations, nonprofit organizations, affecting change on the community level. And then there's the macro level to social work, which a lot of people don't really think about when they think of social work, which is more on the higher level, like policy creation, policy change, advocacy. So like working for government, working as a lawyer. So you're working to affect change on that higher level. So this is a really short list of professions that you can go into as a social worker with an MSSW degree. I want to emphasize that this is a very short list. The possibilities are truly endless with an MSSW degree. It is a terminal degree for a social worker. So it really is the only degree that you need to do whatever you would like to do in the field of social work. There are higher degrees that we have at U of L, but the MSSW is really what you need to do what you want in the field. So if you want to look at this list a little bit, there's some options on here like medical social work. That's a huge growing field, working with patients, navigating the healthcare system. working with Veterans Affairs social worker. There's K through 12, like a school social worker, so working in a school setting. The possibilities are truly endless. And so we also like to talk a little bit about um, some statistics that we found about where social workers work. So this can give you an idea of where most social workers work and where the jobs probably are. This is a 2017 National Social Work Workforce Study conducted by George Washington University. And it just outlines some the percentage of where social workers work in the field. And it's no surprise that they found that most social workers work for nonprofits, so charitable organizations. That's where 35% of social workers work. Outpatient healthcare services is right below that, though, at 18%. So, like I said, healthcare social work is on the rise. There's local, state, and federal government agencies is the next tier, and those are great jobs to have. They're structured raises, great benefits. Yeah, so on. You can look at these statistics here, but this can just give you an idea of where you might work once you graduate with an MSSW degree. So as far as job outlook and salary expectations, these are some statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. And as you can see, so their employment outlook for 2016 to 2026. So these are projections for growth in the field of social work. And you can see here that growth, I mean, it's nothing but growth. Actually, we have a higher growth rate in our profession than the average national profession. So it looks like about 16% growth is projected in overall social work employment, and then 14% in child, family, and school social work positions specifically. 20% growth projected in healthcare and medical social work positions, and 19% growth in mental and substance use positions. So the jobs are out there. So, yeah, we need social workers. So it's incredible growth in the field. And these are also some average salaries you can expect across the nation for MSSW graduates starting out. But I want to emphasize that it really does depend on your state and what organization you work for, how much money you can make. So these are really just averages, but those are listed there. So hospitals, state and local and private, you can expect about 58 starting out. Local government, excluding education and hospitals, about 53. Healthcare services, 48,000 a year. State government, excluding education and hospitals, is about 46,000 a year, and so on. But the most important thing I like to point out here is actually from that workforce study by George Washington University from the previous slide. And they found that MSSW salaries on average make about $13,000 a year more than just having a BSW degree. So much like, you know, a lot of fields today, that master's degree is just going to really set you above and make sure that you get a higher salary, and it's going to open so many more doors about what you can do in the field of social work. So another option for our graduates with an MSSW degree is to become a licensed clinical social worker or an LCSW in the state of Kentucky. That's what it's called here. But the title and the abbreviation may change depending on which state you reside in. But a licensed clinical social worker can provide therapy. They can provide mental health diagnoses and treatment options and behavioral health treatment options for clients. Um, in general, they take a more trauma-informed approach than traditional psychologists do. But the path for getting an LCSW is different depending on your state. But generally, it's after you obtain your MSSW degree, you sit for the CSW exam, which is the master's exam for social work licensure, and then you work under an LCSW for 2 years. And once you get your hours, your supervision hours, you can sit for the LCSW exam. And so that's just a licensure that you would renew every so often, depending on how your state. And Yeah, so definitely check with your board of social work in your state if you are thinking about pursuing your LCSW post-graduation, because some states may have different requirements like practicum hours or courses that you have to take. And it's just good knowing that going into the program in case there are, certain ones you need. But yeah, so that's a great option for our students. So the Kent School of Social Work and Family Science, a little bit about us at the University of Louisville. We have been around since 1936. So we have almost 100 years of experience in preparing professional social workers. Um, we're located in Louisville, which is the largest metropolitan city in the state. So I am a little biased. I'm from here, so I do love this city. If you do end up coming to Louisville to study, it's a great place to be. Lots of opportunities here. I like to say it's a small town pretending to be a city. Everybody's really nice, and but there's also lots to do all the time. And because of that, we also have some amazing organizations in the city that work and do great work with different populations, very diverse populations. So if you do get to come here, you get the advantage of working with them. But yeah, so we added family science to our name. So we were the Kent School of Social Work until recently. We just created a MS in Couple and Family Therapy program, which some of our students choose to do a dual degree option with that. If you're interested in that, we do have a dual degree option. But yeah, so we're ever growing, and yeah, it's a little bit about the Kent School. Our MSSW program provides a generalist social work education that prepares students for ethical, evidence-informed, and advanced social work practice. So what that means is the MSSW is a generalist degree. So you will be prepared and you will learn in the program all levels of social work. So the micro level, the meso level, the macro level. You'll learn how to practice in those settings. You'll learn how to work with different populations. Um, you'll be prepared to do anything that was listed on that previous slide upon graduation. So that's what it means by generalist. Our curriculum and processes and everything are rooted in the National Association of Social Work Code of Ethics, which emphasizes social justice and anti-racist and anti-oppressive values. And we really try to embody that in everything that we do. Yeah, like I said in the previous slide, we've been around since 1936, and that's when the MSSW program was created. So that was our first program. And so we've had a long time to hone the perfection there. So yeah. So our program has a few options. We have an advanced standing option, which is 30 credit hours, and that's for students who have a BSW degree or a Bachelor's of Social Work from a Council of Social Work Education accredited school. And that degree must be within the last 7 years, just to make sure that, your coursework is, up to best practices and is fresh because the field is ever changing. So if you do have a BSW degree, you can do it get your MSSW in as little as 30 credit hours. And then we have a regular standing program, which is for people with degrees in any other discipline besides social work from a regionally accredited institution. So, our program is designed to be very diverse and flexible. We understand that today's student isn't necessarily the traditional student who's going full-time and have no other obligations. A lot of our students have full-time jobs, they have families to take care of. So we understand. So we have tried to make our program very flexible for you. So we do have a campus option, and we also have an online asynchronous program. So our online program predates the pandemic. So we have been doing it for a while now. It's not something that was new and put together. The quality of faculty and everything in our online program is amazing. And one benefit, if you are in Louisville, you can actually take campus and online classes, which is kind of cool. And we also offer full-time and part-time. We also offer summer, fall, winter term, as well as spring semester. So our program truly is, you can kind of design it, your own way, finish at your own uh, pace kind of thing. So we truly try to make it very diverse and flexible. So we do have some dual degree options in our program if you do want to pursue two master's programs at the same time. So some of those options are the Master's of Science in Couple and Family Therapy that I mentioned earlier. You can do an MA in Pan-African Studies. You can do an MA in Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies. You can do the Juris Doctorate, so the lawyer degree, Masters of Divinity, and then the Master in Healthcare Ethics. So those are some options. How that works is some of your coursework will overlap and count for both degrees. So it cuts down on some of the time it takes to get two degrees at once. So our program also has some concentrations. The concentrations are totally optional, but they're there if you do. Basically, how it works is you take your electives. Our program has 3 electives built in, and you just take your electives in that selected concentration. So our concentrations include alcohol and drug counseling, gerontology social work, which is working with older populations. We have mental health social work, military social work, psychosocial oncology, which is working with cancer patients, and medical social work, and then school social work. So those are our concentrations. But we also have a new Latin American and Latino Studies certificate. So that is basically like a concentration, but you will end up with a certificate at the end, really, is the major difference there. All right. I'll only take over to talk about practicum for a bit.
All right, thanks, Ellie. Hopefully everyone can hear me. My mic is off mute. That's like a rookie move now in 2024. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Holly Eckert, and I am one of the 4 practicum coordinators here at Kent School. And I am a Kent School graduate. I graduated way back in 2013. So it's great to have you all here tonight to listen to us. This is going to be a very quick presentation because, like Ellie said, we want to try to keep some time towards the end for any questions that you might have for us. And there is a lot to practicum, you all. Even if this was a 2-hour session, I probably still wouldn't be able to talk enough about practicum. So really the takeaway with practicum that I want all of you to hear tonight is this is a learning experience. My role as a coordinator is to not find a site that is eventually going to employ you, right? While that is the hope, and that could be a reality for some, we really want this to be focused around your learning. So like what Ellie was saying, there's 2 types of graduate students. There's the generalists, the first year, and then there's the second year, or students who are considered advanced standing, who are coming into Kent already with a bachelor's degree in social work. So we really want to focus with you on finding a site that's going to provide you the learning that you need, the skills that you need. So for example, a first-year student, we want the goal for you to learn about intake, assessment, pulling in community resources for that client or for a group of clients that you're working with, so that really you can work with any walk of life, any population, any area of social work. That's what we're focusing on for that first year student. The second year student, and let me just back up. And, so having said that, you're probably going to be looking at agencies that are small to mid-sized community-based agencies. Nothing real big, but that can cover a pretty good area and scope of social services and programs. So with that, you will be responsible to obtain weekly hours. So as a first year student, it's going to be 16 hours a week. And And if you stay on track with that, that's 225 hours for the fall, for one semester, 225 hours for the next semester. So you're with that one agency for 2 semesters, whether it's fall and spring or whether it's spring and summer. So for the first year student, that should give you a total of 450 hours. So Ellie just pulled up the slide to give you kind of an idea of some settings that I was just talking to you about. Again, to give you those generalist foundation skills of social work. Now, the second year student or the advanced standing student, as you can see, the hours, bump up a little bit, 18 to 20 hours. For fall and spring, it's typically 18 weekly hours. For spring and summer, those hours might need to increase, especially for the summer semester. Our summer semester is relatively short. It's about 11 weeks long. So staying on track with those weekly hours, it's 250 for each semester, which would give you a total of 500 hours. And again, as a second year student, as an advanced standing student, then we can start to look at some bigger organizations, bigger agencies, possibly a more clinical side of social work, if that's what you want. Again, this is based off your learning goals and based off, the mission of just you being able to advance in your skill set. And like Ellie said, we offer concentrated classes. So if you're working with your advisor on looking at those concentrated courses or looking at those dual degree programs, let your practicum coordinator know, so that we can work with you and try to find an appropriate setting so that what you're learning in those classes or with those dual degree programs, we can provide, or the agency can provide, that hands-on training and then hands-on learning. I don't know if there's another slide, Ellie. Okay. So as I said, so how long will I spend there and how many hours do I need? The entire academic year. And like Ellie said, you have that flexibility as a graduate student to look at the fall spring start or a spring summer start. We went over the hours, who will supervise me. This is a really important part of practicum. As a graduate, before I even go into that, you should be proud to know that Kent School is an accredited program. We have accreditation through the Council on Social Work Education. And they are the ones who give us bylaws and rules and regulations that we have to follow, and that ultimately you have to follow. So the CSWE says, your graduate students must be supervised by a professional, a social work professional who has their master's degree in social work, who has 2+ years of postgraduate full-time work in the field, and who has earned that degree from an accredited college or university. So in other words, we want to pair you up with someone who is not just out of college themselves, but someone who is seasoned, someone who has been in the field for 2+ years, and working full time. Now, if the agency employs a social work professional who happens to be licensed, that's wonderful. Again, through our accrediting body, it's preferred, but it's not required. And like I say to my students, for you, it's the cherry on top. If you get to work with a licensed clinical social worker, because they are going to have a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information, not only for you during the practicum, but if you need to pick their brain about your own future endeavors, if you want to go on after you receive your master's degree from Kent School and to become licensed, whether in Kentucky or your respective state that you live in. And what will I be doing? I mean, direct face-to-face or virtual practice with clients. I think that we are trying, especially now in 2024, not just Kent School, I think everyone is trying to get back in person, face to face. It's so much better, especially when you're practicing social work. So with those first year students, there may be some opportunities for virtual placement. I'm sorry, for the first year students, we want to try to find placement for the face-to-face contact with clients. Um, I think we would be doing a disservice for you to do anything that's, a lot of remote practicum work, and learning. Second year students, that might be a different story. And of course, it's case by case. There's going to be different circumstances for all students, and we understand that. But for the most part, we really want to try to get students back on site, back with clients, back in the throes of agency work. And it's not to say that those agencies might not give you some tasks, practicum tasks and responsibilities that are remote or that can be done virtually. But for the most part, we really want to try to help you find face-to-face contact.
I think that's the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will stick around later, Ellie, for any questions. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, Holly.
Yep, thank you.
Oh, here's some practicum deadlines for you. They're listed on our website as well. The thing to, pay attention to is sometimes their deadlines are before our deadlines. So you just want to make sure that you apply to the program and get accepted so that you have time to apply for practicum by their deadlines. Um, and yeah, your admissions coordinator will work with you on that as well. So just be mindful of those. And as I said, they're listed on our website too. So one of the advantages of our program is that we have an advising team. So not a lot of graduate programs have advisors, academic advisors for their students, but we do. So this is our MSSW advising team. Dr. Jennifer Foreman is the program manager of advising. And then we have our advisors, Connie Cox and Shelley Geezy. They're organized the way that Lakeisha and I are. Connie helps students who are A through L, and Shelley helps students whose names are M through Z. And they meet with students and they go over their course options and kind of lay out a path of success with them. And they also help you register for classes. So they're an amazing resource that we definitely want our students to take advantage of. It's not required by any means, but it's definitely encouraged. We also have some additional campus resources that I like to highlight for our students because they're free to our students and they're great. So we have a counseling center that offers free counseling to students in crisis or in need at any time, both virtual and in person. We also have a planned professional development program. So this is through the graduate school. It's specifically for graduate students. It's professional development opportunities, like, career fairs, study sessions, even just like graduate student stress relief nights and stuff like that. They do amazing things for our students. We have a writing center that's free, so they can help you at any point in the writing process from, brainstorming to final edits. Um, Also encourage students to check out our Disability Resource Center. If you need accommodations, they are great. We have a career center. They do career fairs and resume workshops, cover letter workshops, you name it. We also have an awesome cultural and equity center. It's specifically for students who belong to affinity groups, and they do programming and services for these students. There's an LGBTQ center in there. There's a Latinx center in the cultural center, and they're awesome. We also really like the Center for Military Connected Students. Physically on campus, they're actually right next door to the Kent building, which is awesome. Um, but they help our military students and veterans get connected with their benefits and whatever else services they need. They also have a really cool student lounge in there. So check out these additional campus resources. They are great, great for our students to check out. So, um, all right. So getting down to the nitty gritty, how to apply to the program if you're ready. So these are our requirements. So we do not require the GRE. So that's pretty awesome. Do not have to pay out that money or stress about studying for that exam. So we don't require the GRE. We do have a preferred accumulative GPA of 3.0. So we prefer a 3.0, but we admit students regularly who don't have a 3.0. So don't freak out if you don't have that. If you don't have a 3.0, we just ask that you write an addendum to your application. It's a brief document that you discuss, what happened, be honest, why you don't have a 3.0. But more importantly, we want you to discuss what strategies you'll use to be successful in the program. So we just want to make sure it's not to punish you, it's just to make sure that you understand that graduate school is rigorous. It's more rigorous than undergraduate school. And we don't want to admit students and then see them fail. So that's why we ask for an addendum. Our application process is pretty simple. All you do is complete the online graduate application. There are a few short essays on there that are 300 words or less. We require all of your transcripts, so every single transcript from any school you've ever attended. Any school. I'll say that again. Even if you went one semester, even if you went one semester and withdrew, we still need that transcript. It's just a policy. But and then we ask you to submit letters of recommendation. So which program you're applying to will determine how many letters you need. If you're applying to the 30-hour program, we require one letter because we also want to see your practicum evaluation from your BSW. And then for the 60-hour program, we require two letters of recommendation. There is a $65 non-refundable application fee, but there are some times when we waive the fee for people. So we do waive the fee for graduates of HBCUs or HSIs, Hispanic Serving Institutions. We also waive our fees for military and veteran students. And then we also waive our fee for our Kent BSW seniors on certain days. We'll have events where we waive that fee for them. It never hurts to ask. Graduate admissions also has their own fee waivers at certain times. But yeah, we try to make the application process really easy. We have checklists, application checklist for each program that are on our website, and then we can also share them with you if you contact your admissions coordinator. And they include everything that you need to know, exactly how to fill out the application, and then all the materials that we require are listed on there. So they make it pretty easy. So we like to talk about a few tips and tricks for the application. For letters of recommendation, we recommend that you reach out to more than the number that you actually need. So if you need one letter, ask two people. If you need two letters, ask three. It just gives you that extra cushion just in case, somebody says no for whatever reason, or, you know, if somebody, has every intention of doing it and then ends up not having time or whatever. And if you have an extra letter, it only makes you look better, right? So keep in mind that no personal recommenders are allowed. So no coworkers, no informal mentors, no advisors, personal or academic, unless they also taught a class, So basically, I like to think of it as they should have supervised your professional or academic work, and be able to speak to that. I mentioned the addendum before. It's a short essay that you just talk about, why you don't have a 3.0. And then we also do accept some transfer credit in our policies on our website and everything. Or you can just reach out to us and we can go over our transfer credit policy for you. All right, application deadlines. So our application deadlines are the same every year. And we admit 3 times a year. So if you don't get in or if you don't finish your application for fall or spring, we admit in summer as well. So these are our application deadlines. For to start in spring or January, your deadline would be October 15th. To start in summer or May would be April 1st. And to start in the fall or August would be July 1st. So our deadlines are pretty flexible. We do admit students after the deadlines, but those are the times when course options may be more slim. You may have missed the practicum deadline. So if you can, we definitely recommend applying before these deadlines. But if you can't, like I said, we still admit students after them. So how to pay for school, it's pretty important in this economy. Especially for graduate school when there are fewer, grant options. We always recommend you fill out your FAFSA, even though there may be more loans than grants. You always want to see what kind of funding you can receive. And a lot of our Kent School scholarships and other scholarships will require you to fill out a FAFSA anyway. Um, I think we need to add the new deadline on there, but I know the application for next academic year is open. So there's also things in graduate school called graduate assistantships. They're basically like jobs on campus that students can have, and they will pay, the school will pay either some of your tuition or give you like a stipend each semester. Those are great opportunities for students. The Kent School doesn't have GA positions, but other offices on campus do. Definitely talk to our financial aid office if you're interested in GA positions. Um, and as I mentioned, the Kent School does have its own scholarships. Our scholarships are donor based and they vary in amounts. Um, None of them are actual like full rides, but they vary in amounts and we give them out twice a year. So the deadline for fall scholarships is July 15th and the deadline for spring scholarships is December 1st. So we have a centralized application process for that. And when the application opens each semester, we'll let you know. We send out email blasts that are like the scholarship application's open, apply now. So you definitely don't want to miss those opportunities. And then here we have our tuition rates. So for full-time students, 9 credit hours is considered full-time in graduate school. For residents, it's about $7,111, and non-residents is 14,453. And then per credit hour is less than 9 credit hours. And also our online rate is the same rate. It's $791 per credit hour. So our online program is $791 per credit hour as well. But if you have questions, you can look at the Bursar's office website as well. We do have a pretty amazing opportunity for our advanced standing students. So if you're a 60-hour student, it would be your second practicum. And for 30-hour students, they can do it as their one practicum. It's through the U of L Traeger Institute. It's an Flourish Behavioral Health internship program. So if you want to work with rural populations and older populations and do gerontology social work, this would be a great opportunity for you. If you do your practicum with them, you receive a $10,000 stipend. So pretty awesome. If you are interested in that, you can definitely reach out to our admissions team and we'll let you know when the application's open and stuff like that for that one. So what can you be doing right now? If you're still like graduate school might be a little far off, but you're starting to think that it might be for you. We have some tips for you. So establish and maintain good relationships with your professors. This is really important for letters of recommendation. You want them to, remember you and have a good impression. So developing those relationships early on can be helpful. You can even go ahead and ask, like, it might be a while from now, but when I do apply, will you write me a letter of recommendation? Um, Try to be aware of your cumulative GPA and try to keep it above a 3.0 if you can. Um, yeah, it can be hard when, it dips. It's hard to bring it back up. But you can always take like a walking class or something, get that easy A, try to bump that GPA if you can. Um, Talk with people you may know who have completed a graduate program. Seems like a no-brainer. Yeah, especially if you know a social worker who has done an MSSW program. They can give you a great idea of what to expect. Start thinking about the types of social work and practicum placements that might interest you. This is a great thing to start thinking about. By no means do you have to have like, your set idea going in. Yeah, I've said it multiple times. The field is so diverse, the degree is super diverse. So even if you end up in a practicum that at the end you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. That's a learning experience in itself. So it is nice to start thinking about what you would want to do though. And then you can also set up a one-on-one with an admissions coordinator, like myself or Lakeisha. We'd be happy to talk with you more on one-on-one about career options, the program, the application, anything. So just let us know. And I think Valerie put our information in the chat. And yeah, I have it right here as well. We have some social media. If you want to follow the Kent School, we have events all the time. Yeah, future info sessions. Sometimes we have themed ones. You can find those on our social. So, and then this is our contact information here. That concludes the presentation.
Okay, we have a question for Holly
Yes, ma'am.
in the chat. I'll let you read it. Oh, it's Holly and Ellie.
The one about Sacramento State,
Yes,
Valerie? Okay.
yes.
Mm.
I don't know if you've run into anything like this before.
Is it pertaining to practicum or admissions?
It will pertain to admissions as far as admissions must have the practicum evaluation. I thought maybe you might have some insight on what a student should do when this type of incident happens.
Hi, my name is Ty. I submitted a question so I can answer any additional stuff that might help you
Yeah,
answer
if
that question.
if you could just give us a little bit more information, Ty, that would be helpful.
Yeah, so when I looked to apply last year, and I didn't realize the advanced standing was possible, I reached out to my alma mater and they said, here's the login for it. And then when I tried to log in, I realized that my Sacramento State student account was deleted because I guess it's the normal thing to delete after 4 years upon graduation, and you can continue with like a graduate program or anything there. So in 2022, it was deleted. And so there's no way for me to retrieve my field practicum evaluation. So that's where I'm at with that. And I already have a bachelor at CSW, accredited school in social work. So I ideally want to take the shorter, quicker route.
Let me ask you a question. Have you tried the department where you got the social work department where you got your bachelor's degree? Because
Yes.
sometimes they will have those still on file.
No, I did reach out via email to the LCSW who works there, and she's the BSW field coordinator, and she just gave me the link and told me to log in, and then I did talk to her on the phone, and yeah, they don't have any other way. They don't keep offline records. It's all off of Field Connect, and so once your student portal is deleted, they don't have any way for you to log in to retrieve that information.
What I would
And
suggest,
yeah.
Oh, okay, I was going to suggest that you email your coordinator and I'll put their information up here again in a moment and we
Okay.
can talk to the committee about it. However, that's kind of a deal breaker. You got to have that practicum evaluation in order to be admitted into the 30-hour program.
Right.
I would think that the practicum office could pull it for you.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I want to say I tried that route last year, and they told me something along the lines like they pretty much do not save and keep like an archive of these things, and it just kind of stays on Field Connect. And I even reached out to the I don't know I forgot what they call it, but the person who actually was doing the evaluation, and she said, yeah, all that stuff we input onto Field Connect, so I don't have a record for you, even though I do remember you and all that stuff. So that's where I was at. I was almost at a dead end, but I'll try to re-engage again with them and then see.
Yeah,
Okay.
good luck with that, Ty. It's more of a
Yes.
admissions, because you know, with our practicum office, just transparency here, we rely on the admissions team, you know, to go through their checklist to get everything that they need for you to be that advanced standing student within Kent School. Um, so that is something that our office, we don't, you know, um, I think hopefully I'm making sense.
Yes.
You would work with Valerie and Ellie and that team and our team here in the admissions office to get that situated, and then start working with our practicum team to find your second and final practicum experience. So I hope it works out, Ty. I really do. It sounds like you've
Yes.
put in a lot of effort to try to get that straightened out.
Yes.
So I hope that works out for you.
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, if you exhaust all options, don't freak out. Like we will talk to the powers that be and, maybe your practicum person could write a letter or something. But ideally we have that practicum evaluation.
Copy
Mm,
that. Thank you for the feedback. Like I said, I'll probably just reply that email that I sent to them last September, and then just to see if there's any further leads, and then just work it from there. Thank you.
okay. We have a question from Susanna Valencia. Susanna,
Yeah, hello. How are you guys?
wonderful.
Good.
Sure, for sure. I just have a quick question. So I have the cumulative GPA requirement already. I have a 3.2. However, I guess I'm more feeling a little bit nervous about it, and I just wanted to ask potentially a stupid question, but that's okay. Um, I do have a couple of W's because I did get my bachelor's in science in business administration, so I would have to do the 60. But I have a couple of W's because when I went to school, I didn't know exactly this university's requirements for withdrawing from classes before the deadline. So all the W's that I have aren't even classes that I was even in, but they're still on there. And I just want to know if I should include that in potentially like a supplemental document when I apply, or if that would, negatively affect me, or to not clarify or to clarify, pretty much is my question.
No, I don't think you need to do that. We don't, yeah, as long as your GPA is good otherwise, and we definitely don't hold W's against students. Yeah.
Yes, if you meet the required GPA, then no, a W will not hurt you.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you guys.
of course. I think we had a question in the chat. I don't know if you saw it, Valerie, about residency. Um,
I did
I'm
not see
not
that.
sure. Who did they talk to about like residency questions? Bursars?
Well, what was the question about residency?
They're from Kentucky and grew up here, but they're active duty and currently stationed elsewhere. Would that make them a non-resident?
Well, You would, I'm assuming, are you looking at that because of tuition cost? And if you are, the good thing is you get a break being an online student. So while you're in active duty, you can be an online student. And especially, since are from Kentucky, but you can be an online student and get virtually the same. I think is it the same or just a little bit more, Ellie, for online tuition?
Actually, and I just had a thought. Anne, are you going to be active duty in the program? Because our tuition.
I think that person left the chat already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I do
Okay,
have a
thank
question
you.
as also another active duty military member. I'm worried about right now. I'm stationed in Montana, very big state, but not a lot of people. And Great Falls, Montana, it's north of like Bozeman. How feasible is it to find a practicum? Because I think that's one of my biggest concern outside of everything else about the advanced standing versus the normal.
Okay, this time, Holly, it's really for you.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
I'm right now. I'm stationed in Great Falls, Montana, very small town. Only 50,000 folks live here. Uh, is there any, way that I can find a practicum? And I said I'm active duty. I work Monday through Friday. 7:30 till 5 o'clock, pretty much.
Mhm.
Is it hard for students like myself in my situation to find a practicum as part of the graduation requirement? Because that's one of my biggest concerns right now.
Um, is it still Ty?
Yes, it's still
Yeah,
time.
okay, good. Ty, so do you have a good idea if you're going to be staying there for a good stretch of time?
I have
Well,
about 2 more years on station before I gotta get any
okay,
kind of orders. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so, like myself and my other colleagues in the practicum office, we have territories. We have certain states that we are assigned to, and work with those students in those states, whether they reside there or whether they're stationed there, like your situation. Um, so first step in practicum that we do with students, we always want to look first at our affiliated sites, right? Agencies, organizations that we might have a current contract with. So we'll look at those first. If they don't exist, that's when your practicum coordinator is going to really lean on you, because you're there and we're not. So you might know the lay of the land. You might be able to get some input from some other folks in that area, to see what's out there, to see what type of agencies, organizations, again, that are going to align with the kind of learning that you need. And that practicum coordinator will be working, with you on your behalf to kind of vet that agency, vet that organization, make sure they can provide everything that you need as a student. And then obviously, if all the stars align and if it's a good partnership, obviously it's going to work out for you, Ty, and then hopefully for future students if they find themselves in that same area. So I hope that answers your question. But if you know that you're going to be in that area for a good stretch of time for practicum, yeah, that's double thumbs up, for both you and both for us selfishly, at the practicum office, because the affiliation process can be, it could be timely. It can take some time, depending on the agency and just the circumstances. So going back to that slide, and thank you, Ellie, that I didn't chime back in on. Our deadlines are really strict for that reason, our due dates for the practicum application. Because if we have to find an agency for you, an organization for you to place you at, and it's not in our system, and we've never worked in that area before of the United States, it may take some time. So hopefully that answered your question, Ty.
Okay.
Yes, it did. Thank you. I
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
And Holly, we have a question from Anita.
Okay.
And I think you've answered some of it during this time, but do we get to choose our internship placements? And I'm assuming practicum placements.
Uh-huh. So Anita, again, it's we are working with you to locate, to find and secure placement. Again, we want this to be focused on the type of learning that you need. Um, so we will certainly provide you again, if depending on where you're located, and if it's an area that we have worked with before, that we have partnership with in that area. We always want to look at our affiliated sites first, see if they are still hosting, see if they still have everything that you need as a student. And if it's a big area and it's, you know, an area where we can offer you maybe 3 options to look at, that your practicum coordinator will give you those 3 options as far as the name of the agency, the website, just so that you can look into it. You don't have to do much legwork, but we always start with our affiliated agencies. And like I was telling Ty, if it's an area that, you know, we haven't had much students, you know, living at, or we just haven't had affiliated with an agency and an organization, that's when we're going to lean on you and see what is in that area again to fit your learning needs. So you know, I guess short answer, yes, you will ultimately get to choose, but you know, you just really have to be open and remember that this is a learning experience, and that there's a goal both for the first year student and the second year or the advanced standing student. Hopefully that answers your question,
And Holly,
Anita.
Anita is in Louisville, Kentucky. So
Oh,
yeah,
Anita,
okay.
you have nothing to worry about. You're in the best city ever. So there's going to be tons of options, Anita. So yes, we will work with you and figure that out.
Okay, we have a question from Susanna.
Yeah, hi. I'm asking a similar question as to the one I just asked, but it's mainly more for clarity reasons. So, in my, I just logged into my portal just to confirm because I'm a little bit nervous about my GPA. And when I went to this school, I did transfer in credits from my community college. So my overall, like my cumulative is 3.2, but my institution GPA is 2.9. So I just wanted to see if I should still provide a supplemental document explaining that or not.
The only thing that we really go by, the addendum goes by your at the end, your GPA at the end once you graduate. So your GPA upon graduation.
Yeah, your cumulative. And you'll have also, Susanna, you will have a coordinator, Ellie or Lakeisha. And if you need that, they will reach out to you and let you know. They work very close with you and build a relationship with you, and they will let you know anything that you're needing. They hold your hand right through the process.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I will say, just like as a note, your guys' program, in terms of like even me asking questions and even this webinar that you guys are having, you guys are probably the most organized online program that I have seen. So I just want to give you guys
Thank
that
you.
because you guys have been able to answer a lot of different questions. So that's all.
Thank you. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna.
Any more questions? We have 1 minute left. Speak now or send an email. No, no, I'm just kidding. We will answer anyone's question. Okay, Ty?
Another question about placement. So I ideally want to transition over and work for the VA or stay in the military and cross over into a social worker who works in the military. Um, if I'm going that route, will my placement most likely, or I feel like it should be military based. So I think I have a few options. That's like a VA at the VA here or at the med group. possibly. Is that correct? Or would you just put me in anything that's similar to it, but not military?
Yeah. So, you would think, Ty, that getting into a VA would be easy. Gosh, I hate to be the dream crusher already. You're not even enrolled. The VA medical hospitals are a very timely affiliation process. And you should be familiar with this, Ty. It's government, it's military. They have their own process, and not with just getting on board with a university, but they have their own process with interviewing students, only taking second year or advanced standing students, because and that's perfectly fine because, as you know, it's a medical facility, it's a hospital setting, the population is very vulnerable, and they want that student to be able to latch onto the training, orientation, and go. So that's why they only want to work with that second year or advanced standing student. So what I can say is this, I can give you advice. You know, as soon as you are, if you enroll and get accepted, and get over that hump, just really talk with your MSSW advisor, that Ellie was talking about, to kind of see, come up with that class audit and see when your practicum is due to hit. And that will determine, then your work with the practicum office to see if we're going to have enough time, to affiliate with that VA in your area. Okay, so if not a VA, and there's maybe some other agency or organization in your area that serves that military or veteran population, we can absolutely look into that. But yeah, just know with any kind of VA hospital, it's a very tedious process for beginning to end.
Copy that. Thank you for the
Copy that. Okay, thank
feedback.
you.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, we'll call it a night. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I hope it was helpful. Please reach out to us if you have any further questions.
Good
Sure,
evening.
Have a
thank you
great evening.
guys.